Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man. As usual, around this time of year, when the when I'm around the anniversary the of the 2017 Power Rangers movie, and therefore also of the connected uh, Power Rangers fighting game called Power Rangers Legacy Wars. I I typically do some kind of video related either to the franchise itself or to the game. And this time, as you can tell, I'm gonna be talking about the game with a look at every Power Rangers Legacy Wars Mega-Zord ranked worst to best. I'm not exactly sure if Megazord is supposed to be one word or not, but that's how I'm writing it. For those who don't know, a Megazord is a big fighting robot that is made up of various smaller fighting robots that come together to form the big one, which then gets used to fight a big monster. Power Rangers, the formula. This this wasn't a feature that was the Megazord mode. Wasn't really something that was in the game right from the beginning, or at least not as far as I can remember. In fact, I think it wasn't introduced after I started playing the game, which was October 2018, and and let's say I have seen the meta, the meta of the game evolve at least somewhat. So, so I thought I would, share my thoughts on how exactly the meta, and maybe not exactly on how the meta evolved, but more on the various Megazords themselves and how good I think they all are. Uh, when it comes to how good they are, I'm not simply looking at their battle prowess, so to speak. So I'm not simply looking at whichever uh, can defeat all the rest in most circumstances. While competitive viability is something I'm interested in, I am more interested in how fun they are to play both with and against. As in, what did they bring to the what did they bring to the player? Um, both when controlling the this particular kind of character, which it's fair to say the Megazords are characters in their own in their own right, at least to the extent at least to the extent of the gaming experience. So what do they bring to the character manipulating them? But also, how does the player opposing the character the Megazord perceive it? Is it like, oh no, I have to go through this again, or is it like, oh, it's showtime? That's the kind of thing. It requires a particular kind of balance in order to really pull that off. And surprisingly, not all of the Megazords in the game actually manage to pull that balance off. Uh, so that being said, which are the most which are the best, which are the most interesting to fight with? Well, let's get to it. Starting at the bottom, at number 9, the worst is the 2017 Megazord. Uh, now, don't get me wrong. From a competitive viability standpoint, this one is actually quite good. It is arguably either the best or in the top third. However, I am relatively convinced that it is that it is either entirely premium. By the way, this game operates under freemium rules, so you can spend money for it, but but the uh, intention behind it. But however, most people play it, for free. So anyway, and for the most part, most of its features are available to you, even if you're, even if you're a, even if you play without spending money. The 2017 Megazord doesn't really have that. doesn't really have that going for it. I'm playing the game for free, and if I have any kind of update that leads to, it, as you can tell, it's not enough because I haven't been able to activate it all. So I'm pretty sure this character is on a premium basis only. Based on being solely accessible if you pay money, you would expect it to be at least somewhat good. And while it is somewhat good, it's you know it should be the best. It should have the most it should have the most interesting moves. It should be it should be the most intriguing one to actually interact with. However, however, it really isn't. Every single hit is just it really comes across as nothing more than a hammer. And and to be honest, when it comes to its competitive viability, I somehow almost always lose against it, but I almost never win with it. In the rare opportunities the game provides me to still play with this character, even if even though it's basically exclusive to premium. So for these reasons, the accessibility issues and the fact that the uh, effort to make it stand out and the effort to make it stand out doesn't really reflect in how interesting it is to play with. Uh, the 2017 Mega-Zord ends up at number 9. At number 8, we got the Mega Black Dragon. And I have to say, with the Mega Black Dragon, it's I will say it has an interesting attack combination. It is to some extent quite unpredictable. However, that unpredictability also leads to it not necessarily being being very stable. Because as you can see, you have you have a bunch of very attacks that demand little energy, and then you have attacks that are a bit more that are a bit more demanding. And the ways in which they are made available to the player kind of forces you to go one way or another in less than predictable ways. But what really cements the position of a Mega Black Dragon at the bottom is its ultimate attack, because every every Megazord also has an ultimate attack, and most of the time that ultimate attack is offensive. With Mega Black Dragon, it is entirely defensive, as in it just grants the Mega Black Dragon immunity from all damage, but only for a couple of seconds. So unless you know exactly how to time it, it is next to worthless. For that reason, this this very shaky, very unsteady Megazord makes it to number 8. At number 7, the Predazord. I do have to admit, when I first compiled this list, I wasn't exactly sure whether the Predazord would rank over the would rank higher than the Mega Black Dragon. However, when thinking about it, I find that the Predazord's ultimate attack is actually an attack, as in it does actually have an offensive capability, and there are more scenarios where where it can be useful than when it can't be useful. So for that reason, it goes ahead of Mega Black Dragon. Why doesn't it go too far beyond Mega Black Dragon? Well, a lot of the drawbacks I've mentioned with Mega Black Dragon are applicable to the Predazord as well, with a somewhat unstable arsenal that isn't really always as effective as it could be against against most opposition, which leads to a lot of opportunities where a Predazord player can be blindsided or countered. So yeah, it's unfortunately its play viability isn't really isn't really exactly there for playing with. For playing against, it is it is very frustrating because you never know when when anything could be coming, and and therefore and even then and really it's a matter of and there's a lot more pressure and a lot more stress when it comes to like reading its tells and being able to come up with an effective counter. So for that reason, Mega-Zord makes it to number 7. At number 6, we're gonna delve into the good guy Mega-Zords from now on. We've got the Dragon-Zord. The Dragon-Zord is the second Zord that is it's actually the third. The third Mega-Zord it was revealed, and and when I first started to started getting to grips with it, and when other players who were more or less at my level started getting to grips with it, it seemed to be absolutely unstoppable. Like literally every attack could just go in, and with every attack could just go in and just pummel the opposition into submission. It was one tough cookie to beat. Ever since then, however, as more Megazords started to get introduced and more counters came through, something became obvious about the Dragon-Zord, namely the fact that it is a glass cannon. It has a lot of attacks, but it doesn't really have a lot of good defensive or really evasive options. When it comes to its in-game speed, it is among the it is at the lower end of the it is on the lower end of that list, which makes it a little more sluggish than it would really benefit it, thereby reducing its competitive viability. I will, however, say that it has the best ultimate attack. It works at any distance and can deliver tons of damage consistently, while also opening up the opponent for more attacks going forward. It can be countered, but it is very very satisfying to deliver and very effective in combat. Very effective in combat. Its other attacks work quite well, but once you figure out a way around them, it's not necessarily a guaranteed win, but you won't necessarily struggle with them. Struggle with this Mega-Zord for for too long. So for that reason, the Dragon-Zord makes it to number 6. At number 5, halfway through the list, we've got the OG Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Mega-Zord. It is this classic of children's television is actually the first Mega-Zord that is made available within the game, and I have to say I very much appreciate its a lot of its attacks. It is for the most part quite balanced, and also it has a great mobility. It's almost like a boxer. There's plenty of strength there, but there's plenty of grace. It's very it has a very classical feel when it comes to its mobility and its attack options and its versatility, and that allows this Mega-Zord to to never fall too far behind, even though it was the first in the meta. Its ultimate attack kind of lets it down due to being very very short range, but there are plenty of other regular attacks that are mid or even long range, and which do a great job at closing in on that cap, and thereby making it more interesting to play both with and against. So for all these reasons, the Mighty Morphin Megazord, or the classic Dino Megazord if you prefer, makes it all the way to number 5. At number 4, the Thunder Megazord, also from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I can pretty much go back and forth between the Thunder Megazord and the Dino Megazord as to which exactly is higher rated, but for now I'm gonna say that the Thunder Megazord is a little bit higher. If you'll notice, its attacks are on average a little bit easier to pull off, and also there is a lot more. Also it has similar mobility, if a little bit lower, but its attacks always come across as more always comes across as more potent. It is therefore a lot more satisfying to connect. And if the Dino Megazord or if the classic Dino Megazord is a boxer, this one is a samurai. You can feel when using it that there is plenty of strength going into everything, and when you actually manage to pull something off, it is incredibly satisfying to do. This Megazord, funnily enough, is also let down by the fact that its ultimate attack is somewhat short range. However, when looking at the overall attack mix and on the feel you get when playing, it stands out as an interesting and satisfying character to play with. For that, it makes it to number 4. And now we make it to the top 3, and unlike the rest of this list, it was actually surprisingly easy to come up with the top 3. Starting with the number 3, bronze medal goes to the Samurai Megazord from Power Rangers Samurai. First of all, most of its attacks are quite easy to pull off. They have quite low energy costs on average, and also from a feeling standpoint, it very much embodies the advantages of both the classic Dino Megazord and the Thunder Megazord. Its attacks are hefty, crunchy, very satisfying when they actually connect. And the mobility, while maybe not the best in game, is still very satisfying and allows for plenty of evasive action. There is, however, a very particular wild card when it comes to the Samurai Megazord, namely its ultimate attack. Because unlike most ultimate attacks, it can actually go short range, medium range, and even long range. However, it is most effective in a specific scenario because it goes all across the screen. So if you're able to hit the opponent when said opponent is on your side of the screen, then that attack will keep hitting and keep pushing the opponent to the other side of the screen, which is very satisfying. If however you hit this ultimate on the when you're on the opponent's end of the screen, it'll still connect, but it won't deliver as satisfying an attack. So there is always that little bit of an X factor at play here. And when combined with the rest of this character's attacks, which can work quite effectively both as setups to each other and potentially even to prepare the opponent for this ultimate attack, it becomes quite satisfying to not just it becomes satisfying both in general, but also in this specific circumstance where you as the player are able to showcase your skill. So for that reason, Samurai Megazord makes it up to number 3. At number 2, the silver medal goes to Mega-Goldar. I understand I am somewhat in the minority, or I think I'm somewhat in the minority of people who actually play with Mega-Goldar, or who enjoy playing Mega-Goldar to the extent that to the extent that they do. However, I really don't care because Mega-Goldar is is really worth the hype. Why is that? Well, because I think he of all characters has both the best attack speed and the best mobility speed. So you can play evasive, you can play and you can play angry, like offensive. So there is plenty of versatility simply from those. But also when looking at the configuration of Goldar's attacks, there is a lot of incentive to go to go in close, to be aggressive, and to and to deliver a smackdown on whoever the whoever the opponent is. So yeah. He very much has that going for it, making him a very satisfying character to making him a very satisfying character to play with, and thereby adding thereby making the a lot of fights with him very fun, very very involving, because you're literally up close to your opponent and just dealing damage, which, as I've said, which as I've alluded to, is plenty interesting. And also the attacks, while perhaps a little more on the costly side compared to some other entries, nevertheless still cover a broader range of scenarios. So with that with that combination of satisfying movement, satisfying attack, and versatility, Goldar is very much a slept-on character, and my pick for the second best Megazord of the game. The best Megazord, as some of you might have been able to tell so far, is the SPD, or Delta Squad Megazord. Like, first of all, look at the attack options. None of them are over 5. So to that end, it is very very easy to just pull off literally any attack, and attack combos are quite a bit more interesting to pull off as well. You might be of the opinion that because these attacks are somewhat easier, are somewhat less costly, that they somehow deal less damage, and to some extent that might be the case on average. However, most of Delta Squad Megazord's attacks are advantaged by the fact that most of them can work long range as well. So it doesn't always have to go always have to go up close and personal. Though you can very much also go up close and personal if you want to. It is very much the most from that perspective, it is very much the most versatile of all the Megazords. So in attack versatility, it very much it is very much the best. Is very much the best. Its attack speed its attack speed isn't always the best, and its mobility speed. However, its mobility speed is quite decent. But also, however, another thing that manages to push it over the edge is the fact that it has the second best ultimate in the game. Once again, it connects at all ranges, and it always deals a a predictable, maybe not amount, but pattern of damage, and that allows you as the player to have to establish a greater amount of control over the flow of the match, over the, if I may quote a Brandon Sanderson expression, rhythm of the war, of the battle between between you and your opponent. And all of these aspects combined, its versatility, its speed, and its its versatility when it comes to various combat scenarios, its speed when it comes to both movement and attack, and and the fact that it has a an ultimate that can very effectively be combined with the other attacks, with its other attacks, as well as all of the attacks being being quite interesting to combine in of themselves. I think it's fair to say make Delta Squad Mega-Zord the best Mega-Zord in this game. And yeah, that was this week's video. A little bit of a shorter one, but you know what? I want to get something done and get something done quick. And I've already had this this idea in my head for a while, and I wanted to talk about it. So I hope you did, and so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there's anything you'd like to add, either to the game, to the Mega-Zords, or to my assessment of them, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a main channel where I talk about book-related and literature topics, a link to which you can find in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out, should you choose to. If my thoughts on the written word don't necessarily interest you, then I suggest you stay on this channel and go for my extensive backlog where I got videos on, video games, TV shows, movies, or literally anything that draws my attention. If that doesn't sound like it could be interesting to you, then I suggest you go ahead and do whatever you want the rest of your day, because it is your day after all. And yeah, that was all I had. So until next time, I have been the One Take Man.